Hello, and welcome to episode 13 of Mish Mayhem.
Mish Mayhem.
The podcast where we take the schoolyard conversation of, hey, which one of these fictional characters would win in a fight, and we talk about it on a podcast.
That's what one of these are.
One of which?
This.
I'm going to assume yes.
That doesn't even answer your question at all.
I'm okay with it.
Oh, fair enough.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Wade.
And together, we're doing a podcast.
We are indeed. We were going to say, together we make Omnimon. And then we're going to digivolve together. We're here to discuss who would win in a fictional fight between two fictional characters. Probably fictional characters. They might be real. So what we're going to do is we're going to introduce both our characters. We have our reigning champion, the Inquisitor. He bested Hit Girl last week, and now she has been replaced by she's been Inquisitored, replaced with her former self.
You know what I thought about?
Yeah.
Is that her replacement would also be Hit Girl, because it would just be a different, well, unless it's a boy, I suppose, and then it would probably be like Hit Lad. But
what if they're angsty and they feel like they're trapped in a man's body and they should be a woman?
Then there'd be hit trans. I don't know.
Oh my god, hit trans, yes.
I mean, I don't think I necessarily am qualified to make a judgment on that.
Let's go with hit trans.
Apologies if that is not politically correct. But anyway, my point is that whoever the child was would then still be raised. It would, like, the father would be the same, and thus would still be raised as a vigilante.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, there'd still be a hit girl or some variant on.
Yeah, fair point. Anyway, so the Inquisitor bested her. He has earned his Mish, which he obviously he requires. We are going to go through the other combatant by introducing your challenger. Then we're going to go through we go through the reigning champion first. I'm an idiot. Going to go through both the characters, go through their skills, their armor, their weapons, what they like for Sunday dinner, what their favourite film is. We might speculate on that. We probably won't. And then we're going to have a little talk about the arena. But how will we determine the arena that these two combating? How do we do that? I swear there's a way.
We've got this little thing that it's like it's a thing you can roll it. It's got 20 sides. And each side correlates to a number, and each number correlates to an arena that we've previously designated. It's a little thing we refer to as the Die of Death.
Well, let's determine what arena they're in, and then we're going to go straight into it, crack on, and see who we think would win in our fictional fight, between fictional characters of ours. So, without further ado, drum roll. The Inquisitor. For those of you who weren't listening last week, spoilers. You've already had spoilers.
Inquisitor won.
Yes.
He inquisited all over that shit.
I mean, no one expects the Red Dwarf Inquisitor.
I mean, to be fair, I think nobody did expect the Red Dwarf Inquisitor.
No, I mean, both in canon and in real life.
I mean, they probably expected him in this episode, but certainly not in the last one.
Yes, indeed. Unless they got him from the clue, which case, well done. Of course. As described, they are from the series Red Dwarf. They are a simulant, a rogue simulant. In the series Red Dwarf, simulants were a type of cyborg that were created for a war, but that war never happened. And so these creatures / cyborgs were mostly put to decommission, but some of them, obviously, because they were semi-sentient, I didn't mention they were sentient, but they are, and they managed to escape the decommissioning process. And they kind of had a little bit of a vendetta against humans, which is fairly reasonable. Someone creates you to kill other ones of yous or other things, and then goes, "Oh, actually, we don't need you. We're just going to kill you instead." Kind of put it down on the day, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be quite annoying if partway through my day someone turned up and was like, "By the by, I don't need you, so you can't exist anymore."
Yeah, exactly. And it wouldn't even be like, "Don't need you." It'd be like, "Oh yeah, you're the entire purpose we made you for." Yeah. Sort of thing.
I mean, I've had days where, like, my boss has been quite annoyed with me, but I've never quite had, "You're not fit to purpose and shouldn't exist anymore."
Yeah.
That's quite a getting fired.
It's far worse. So anyway, as a rogue simulant who escaped, he survived until the end of time, which sounds like quite a long time, and indeed it is. Indeed, it was all of the time, save for the time, which had already expired at the time he then went on to survive for all time.
The thing about the end of time is there's a really good restaurant there.
Apparently, yes, but I'm not sure if he went there or not because this was Red Dwarf and not Douglas Adams.
Yeah, and that's it. And unless you sort of phone up beforehand to get a booking, you wouldn't go.
Yes, quite a lot of people. Once he reached the end of time, he came to the conclusion that there was no God and that the only purpose of life was to live a meaningful life. He therefore invented the Time Gauntlet, which is a device which allows him to travel back through time and manipulate timelines in certain ways. And he then decided to travel through time, visiting every single sentient being ever, and judge them on whether they or not had lived a worthy life. Those who he deemed worthy would be set free to carry on their lives, and those who were not deemed worthy were replaced by those who were not given the gift of life, all the sperm that never made it, the unfertilized eggs.
On the last episode, you referred to the sperm as goose snakes, and I just want to tell you that still haunts me to this day.
Goose snakes?
Goo.
Oh, goose snakes. Oh, yeah, the goose snakes.
Goose snakes would also be terrifying, but for a much different reason.
It's going to bite me. You can imagine Indiana Jones would be so different if all the snakes are goose snakes. You know, it falls down into a pit. Oh, snakes. It'd have to be goose snakes. I
was thinking more like a goose body, but then they've got like long bendy necks anyway. It'd just be like a snake coming out the top.
Yeah,
it would more hiss than honk. But I love the idea of a snake body with a goose head.
Oh god. Oh god. So good. Oh dear, what was all about? Rogue Simulant, yes, he has a time gauntlet. It's not too important how he judges people, but just for your information, he delves deep into people's psyches somehow, and he becomes them, and he judges them as themselves. So essentially, everyone is judged by themselves. So if you think if you genuinely think deep down you've lived a meaningful life, you're probably fine. But if you think, oh man, I wasted so much of my life, I could have done so much more of myself, you're probably gonna get raised.
You know what my main problem with that is it doesn't like account for people who have like mental illness like issues, because like sort of people who suffer with like depression and stuff, I mean, not in every case, but often will feel like have a very negative self-worth and feel like a lot of what they do isn't very good.
Well, that may be an issue, but on the plus side, at least they won't have mental illnesses anymore.
Well, not necessarily. The new you might still.
Well, I was just trying to find a silver lining.
Sometimes there isn't a silver lining. Sometimes life is just hard.
Well, unfortunately for us, we're not the Inquisitor, and we can't judge him on his decisions, because they're not his decisions. They're everyone else's decisions on themselves. So yeah, as a simulant, he has a very strong, robust body. A strong body? Hey, this is my buddy!
Hey, buddy, want to come do some judging?
Absolutely, my fine fellow!
The Simulant Buddy Cop Show.
Good cop, bad cop. Oh, he's a rogue simulant, and his buddy cop till the end of time. I'm not really any pep for that.
And they'd be like the thing, you'd have to come up with some like bad buddy cop puns, and it'd be like standing over the bad guy with a gun and be like, hey, you're about to get judged.
Yeah, and then they will get. The even more ironic thing is they themselves are a judge.
Yeah, and the 70s funk would start.
Anyway, yeah, rogue simulants are made of metal and fleshy parts.
I think we established last time all the fleshy parts are kind of on the inside. It's very metal exterior.
Yeah, he's very resilient to fire. He can withstand bazookoid fire at close range. Bazookoids are the equivalent of like energy grenade launchers in the Red Dwarf series. And he, having lasted to the end of time, has managed to either program himself to have the ability to, or inherently adapt the ability to regenerate. But regeneration is not the same as immortality. And indeed, he has had limbs severed off in the past, although he did regenerate them very quickly. And it is definitely implied that he can be killed by, whatever would kill a person or a simulant. It's just that any damage that is artificial or superficial in the ways of I mean, obviously, if I lost a leg, that isn't really superficial to my life, but I can't regenerate limbs. But if he was to lose a leg, for example, that would be superficial and regenerate that. It's quite a fast regeneration too.
But basically, he needs to be killed outright.
Yes, yeah, pretty much. So that's it for his armor, other than the fact he's wearing a really badass kind of scully mask and a badass fur cloak. And so now we go on to weapons and all that jazz. And he doesn't have all that jazz, he just has one thing going for him. But that one thing is the time gauntlet. And the time gauntlet is pretty badass. He wears it, he can use it. He does manipulate buttons or program it with his other hand, so it's not like I can think and fire, so I will look and do. But it releases a little wee beam, which can surround the offending target, and it kind of locks them in like paralysis almost, and then you can just erase them from time, just like that, and even better, then replace them with a different version of themselves. That's what he does.
Do you think Thanos looks at him and is like, you're only a fifth of me?
No.
Oh, okay.
But I would enjoy when Thanos gets judged by him. It's like, no.
Well, Thanos, as far as Thanos is concerned, and mathematically speaking, if you take ethics out of it, has certainly done a very good thing by halving the life of the universe, like stopping overpopulation.
Oh, Thanos absolutely would be judged by himself as to be worthy. Like,
yeah, I don't think he's worried.
Yeah, I don't think he's worried at all. He'd be like, yeah, I'm doing good things. I know what I want to do. I know why I'm doing it. People want to stop me, but that's because they don't see what I see.
That's it. I mean, like Thanos' whole deal, like he's technically correct as far as numbers are concerned, but then it's like human life should boil down, or all life should boil down to more than just numbers.
I mean, he is very much a statistician gone wild.
Yeah, to the end.
Except that would not make a very good tagline.
Yeah, can you imagine that would be like the new show on MTV, Statisticians Gone Wild.
Thanos is on there. So we've got to do so. You know, my friend, a colleague at work told me about this sketch from Mitchell and Webb about some politicians like doing some things to see, to solve problems. And it was like, have we tried killing all the poor people? It's like, well, we can't kill all the poor people. We're not going to do it. Yeah, but have you run it through the computer? Just to say. I mean, of course, we're not going to do it. But have you tried it? It's like, we're not going to do it. It's not going to happen. No matter what the outcome is, we're not going to do it. Yeah, so we should try just to be rigorous.
I haven't seen that one, but I can believe it's them. I imagine it ends with killing all the poor people.
I believe, and lowering VAT.
Well, is that how they sell it? It's like, guys, we need to kill all the poor people. That's bad. It will lower your VAT. Oh, suddenly I'm on board.
That is pretty much the Inquisitor. L'Inquisitor. So therefore, I hand it over to you to introduce your character.
Okay. Well, the clue I gave last time was that they are an NPC from a series of games that has got popular over the last sort of 7-8 years. I mean, I should really check when the first one was out. It might be slightly longer than that, but that sort of time frame.
Well, I might be able to tell you.
Who resembles a food of which you somehow locked into guessing was an onion.
Did I? I thought you told me it was an onion.
No, because you said, is it the Onion King?
Oh, yeah. Maybe I did. In fact, I did.
Yeah, and my character in the third installment of this game wore the armor that looks like an onion. So, did you guess who it was?
I mean, I originally didn't, and then I did, just by luck. It's the Onion Knight. I had a long pause there because I was like, is it the Onion Knight? But we're not thinking about the Game of Thrones Onion Knight. We're thinking about a different Onion Knight.
The Onion Knight from Dark Souls. His real name is Siegmeyer of Katarina.
Side note, can you imagine the Onion Knight versus the Onion Knight? I think the Onion Knight would win.
I haven't watched or read Game of Thrones, so I wouldn't know what the Game of Thrones Onion Knight is like.
Not good enough.
No?
No, cool character, but he's missing all his fingers and he has barely any combat experience.
I see. So yeah, Siegmeyer would absolutely kill him.
Absolutely, yeah, no doubt. Well, that's not this fight.
No. I mean, Siegmeyer is an adventuring knight from the realm of Katarina. Katarina is one of the few places in the Dark Souls universe that has not been inflicted by the undead curse that the rest of the world has been. So it's one of the still places that still thrives and is full of life and the such, not just horrible monsters.
Sounds like a good place to go.
Well, yeah, it's known for its like festivities and it's like fun and stuff, which is possibly why anytime you meet Siegmeyer, he is very sort of he's quite a joyous and optimistic character. But then possibly that is because his home life is significantly better than everyone else in the Dark Souls universe.
It's true.
The name Onion Knight is actually one that was come up with people from sort of like the neighboring lands to Katarina as an insult to the Knights of Katarina because they are very proud, like sort of knights, as you would imagine from sort of traditional medieval knights and such. So the sort of mocking of their armor used to make them very angry. So it was kind of like a jab for neighboring towns. But, you know, Onion Knight is somewhat easier to remember than Siegmeyer of Katarina.
It absolutely is.
Yep. The Katarina armor is sort of very good. It's very high defense armor, meaning it absorbs a lot of physical damage. It's also got a very high poise stat, which means it's very hard to stagger whoever is wearing it. So it's very good sort of armor. The only thing it lacks is elemental resistance, so it does little protect against magic. Also, where it's very heavy, in some cases it can lack maneuverability unless you have a very high strength. It means that if you don't have good strength, you'll do what the Dark Souls community refer to as fat rolling.
Yeah.
Which is basically just very slow forward rolls that take about half an hour to get up from.
I mean, that is what an onion would do.
So you can tell that Siegmeyer is supposed to be a very good adventurer because the name Siegmeyer means victory, and thus success is at the core of his existence, which is great, but in turn actually becomes where his story gets really tragic, as most stories in Dark Souls do. Because to Siegmeyer, I mean, he even says at one point, a quote from him is, "Adventuring is my life, but I am prepared for the worst." And as adventuring is Siegmeyer's life, every time the player meets him and he's currently stuck and thinking about how to progress in his adventure, you end up helping him, which, you know, well, I mean, I suppose you don't have to, because as is the nature of Dark Souls, but if you follow his storyline, you will help him through each of these challenges, which takes away the essence of his life, because he learns whenever he encounters a problem, all he has to do is just sit and wait for you, and eventually you'll solve it for him. And it's this loss of purpose that causes him to hollow and become a soulless husk, because hollows in the Dark Souls universe are undead with no purpose to continue. This is shown perhaps most notably in the final time you see him, the final time you see him alive, sorry, when he offers to, in one last sort of heroic act as a knight, to repay you for your previous kindness by sacrificing himself by attacking some powerful creatures and allowing you to escape while he does so. And if you do that, then he will die at this point, but he will die with honor. Whereas if you fight the monsters with him, he will survive in shame, and you will never see him alive again, and he won't have that nobleness to him.
Sad.
Yeah, because as the next time you see him, you will find that due to his hollowed state, his daughter, who has travelled to this part of the world looking for him, has had to kill him, and you will find her crying over his corpse because you helped him so much that he lost the will to be himself. It's a really sort of tragic, killed by kindness sort of thing.
Killed by kindness, whoa.
So yeah, that's the tragic story of Siegmeyer of Katarina. As you're probably aware, because I know you played them, the Dark Souls lore is not really much in the game. I mean, it is, but you have to really look for it. It's not sort of handed out to you. It's worth noting to get some of that information. What I did was I tweeted a YouTuber who I know is really into Dark Souls called Rach Shackleton. She's well worth watching if you're into streams. She's just done a series of streams where she's completed Dark Souls one-handed, which is insane. But yeah, she's really cool. And she put me on to a YouTube video by somebody called Vati Vidya, which is spelled VAATIVIDYA, and he does a lot of Dark Souls and Bloodborne like lore videos. So I found his video was very helpful, and that's where I got a lot of it from. So if you're interested in the Soulsborne games, check out his YouTube channel or her Twitch channel.
Lovely stuff.
But yeah, so that's sort of his backstory. And let's get on to what he does in a fight. So he is armed with the Zweihander, which is a big sword. I've just realised in my notes I've spelt it with an F, so it's swarf.
A swarf.
Yeah, he's got a big swarf. It's traditionally a two-handed sword, hence the name. But he is so strong he uses it one-handed. And his other piece of equipment in his other hand is a pierce shield. The pierce shield is interesting because it's one of only 3 shields in the Dark Souls games that cannot parry. It is instead able to be used for an additional attack power due to the fact it's got a big spike on the front of it. But obviously it can block attacks as you would expect a shield to do, just can't parry them. The Zweihander is a great sword. I don't necessarily mean that in, oh yeah, it's really great. I mean, it's the type of sword it is a great sword. However, it is a great sword. It has widely been regarded as one of the best great swords in Dark Souls.
So you tell me it's the greatest great sword?
I don't know if it's the greatest great sword. It is one of the greatest great swords. It is a great sword, definitely. But the reason it is considered quite good, or one of the best, is because you can find it really early on in the game, and it only requires you to have a strength stat of 16, which is pretty low in order to use it. Also, for a great sword, it is quite fast, and it has this devastating overhead swing attack you can use, which with almost all enemies will just knock them prone instantly. It will just sort of slam them into the floor. And with enemies too big to do that to, it often staggers them. So it's a very sort of powerful attack, which, as you can get very early on in the game, a lot of people say, even though it's not the strongest greatsword, it is potentially the best. The greatest of the greatswords. Its other attack, if you don't want to use the overhead swing, is a sort of quite big sweeping horizontal attack. So between the 2 attacks, it's got horizontal and vertical range covered in the way that... like with its overhead swing, again, to sort of say how great it is, it can hit quite a few of the flying foes, even like without even though you're on the floor, just because it's that big a swing. Because greatswords are big.
Greatswords are big.
So yeah, so it's a very good sword that he has.
Some might say a great sword.
Yes, it's a great sword.
Have we milked that enough yet?
Yeah, probably.
Damn. Time to make my great sword milkshake.
Yeah, does your great sword milkshake bring all the knights to the yard?
Damn right, it's more loyal than yours. Damn right. But I'd have to charge you on my horse.
Excellent. But yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about Siegmeyer, the old Onion Knight. I think now what we need to do is figure out where this fight is going to be taking place.
Lovely stuff. Do you know how we do that?
I've heard there's a tool for it.
Not just any tool. It's the tallest tool, except it's not very tall at all. And it isn't Albert the Fifth Musketeer either.
Would you say it's a great tool?
Yes, no.
No. Would you say it's the die of death?
Some do, and I would agree.
That's good. For a minute, I thought you were going to say no. I was like, oh.
No, it's not. Wonderful. Let's roll this bad boy.
Well, that means that today, this fight is taking place in a car.
What? In a car? Why would you put that on the list? I love it.
Well, sometimes it's nice for people to get up close and personal and fight safely with seatbelts on.
I mean, yes, I do believe. Oh my god, amazing. Right, okay. So, first question is, what kind of car is it?
I don't know. I mean, I guess either we can have it in like a normal run-of-the-mill car, or if you want to give them a bit more room, like a limo or something has like an area at the back. Or maybe like a bus has lots of room, doesn't it?
Oh, but a bus isn't a car, is it?
No, I guess not. It's a bus.
I mean, it's a bus, yeah. You don't say, oh, how did I come to work today? Oh, I came by car. What's that parked in the car park? Oh, it's a bus.
I would be more confused by a bus being parked in the car park than somebody calling a bus a car.
Oh, yeah, but I mean, they are linked to the same event.
I suppose so.
Well, in this instance, they are.
Well, I suppose if you're suggesting that somebody bought their own bus.
And then they're not even car sharing.
Damn you and your carbon footprint.
Sorry, I've not got any room, guys. I can only take one person home. Just Michelle, because she's really attractive. Right. So I mean, I don't think we should use a limo because what when you heard 10 and you looked up and you went, oh my god, a car. What did you think of?
For just like a standard car, like a 5-seater.
Right. And what did I think of when I heard you say car?
I imagine the same.
I imagine the same is correct. I imagine the kind of car that you fell out of backwards.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, but I still remember it to this day. And I'll bring it up every now and again.
It really hurt my bum.
Well, I mean, I'm sure it would.
Well, not really my bum, but like just above my bum, like my tailbone area.
Yeah. Yeah. Coccyx. All right. Let's give it an unbranded car.
Okay.
Right. Is this car moving?
Yeah, obviously. I feel like it's got to be going down like a really long straight road, like one of like the big American like freeways that go.
Oh yeah, the ones that just go like for miles and miles to nowhere in a straight line.
Yeah. What's like the one that goes right through the Nevada desert that is like, isn't it like the longest road ever or something?
I don't know.
I want to say it's Route 52, but I don't know.
Okay, well there's a longest straight road in Australia called the Erie Highway, which goes for 90 miles without turning.
Wow, that's a really long road.
Technically 91.1 miles, but people call it the 90-mile straight and not the 91.1 mile straight, which is reasonable.
Well, we can go for the really long Australian road if you want.
Same difference, isn't it? I mean, they're not going to be getting out and going for a cheeseburger, are they?
No.
Well, probably. I mean, maybe they are.
Okay, so they're on a 90-mile long Australian road.
Yes.
I feel like they need to have a driver as well, because neither of them can drive. Because, well, I mean, they probably can drive, but, they need to be fighting. Actually, to be honest with you, I'm not sure either of those characters could drive. The Inquisitor spent his whole time like in space, skipping through time. He doesn't need to drive. And Sigmar is from essentially a medieval like universe, and therefore cars don't exist. I can entirely believe neither of those characters know how to drive. Yet another reason they need a driver.
Excellent. Right. We need a driver.
So they're catching an Uber. It can just be some generic Uber driver.
Generic Uber driver.
I bet you it costs a lot to get a taxi and or Uber down a 90-mile straight road.
I mean, the road is longer than that. That's just the straight bit.
Even so.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Crazy. All right, sweet. So, starting regular Uber driver. As with tradition, the reigning champion is already there. So they have been inquisitorating the Uber driver. I don't know if Uber exists in Australia, but it does now.
Yeah, maybe it should just be a taxi. A taxi driver.
If you're inquisitoring someone, you're going to be in the passenger seat, aren't you? I would imagine.
He'll be sat next to them, driving along. And he was like, I deem your life to be worthy. And the guy was like, good, because if you hadn't, this car would have crashed.
Well, yeah, or you would have just not had to pay the fare.
That's true.
I mean, there's not much to crash into on the straight road.
Yeah, I know, but all cars pull slightly to one side, so if they didn't have a driver, it would just steer off to the side. It would go off.
I mean, I don't think that's true.
I think it is.
But, I mean, okay, it probably is true to a degree that if you were to drive on a perfectly straight road with the pedal down, eventually it would veer off slightly. However, if he dies, he's not going to be driving anymore. So the car's
that's true. Nobody would be pushing the accelerator. Yeah, all right. It'd probably be fine.
Wonderful. Right. How does the Onion Knight get in there?
Well, he hails the taxi, doesn't he?
What's a taxi? Yeah, because the Inquisitor isn't using the taxi. He's not. Yeah, well, I mean,
the Inquisitor is like, taxi driver Dave, you are worthy. And then taxi driver Dave is like, whew, thank God. And then he's like, oh, wait, there's somebody who wants to get in the taxi. And he pulls over, and the Onion Knight gets in. Puts on his seatbelt because safety first, kids.
Excuse me, sir. Clanging, getting in through the door.
Right. And this is my problem with the Onion Knight in Australia. Well, first, and the Onion Knight in a car, right? First,
in Australia.
Everyone knows onions sweat, and wearing big heavy armor makes you sweat. There's two reasons he's going to be a sweaty boy.
Sweaty boy.
And then the other thing is the Onion Knight's armor, as I've mentioned, is quite big and bulky. It would be really hard for him to get into a car.
It would be incredibly hard to get to a car.
Like, people wearing the Katarina armor already have bad maneuverability. The fact that he's going to be trying to get into the back of a car, with a sword that's probably just as long as the car is wide.
So dumb, so goofy.
Oh man. I mean, I know we've had arenas be bad for people before, but this could be the worst that's ever happened.
But it might not be all over. We'll have to see. Right, wonderful. So he clangs in the back. Clanging. The Inquisitor is like ready to disappear and vanish. And as with the regular canon of these episodes, these two are our designated champions to defend us from bullies who we accidentally realise are each other, but we don't realise are each other. Otherwise, we'd stop it. We'd stop hiring these fictional characters that we love to die for us. So comes in and he notices that the Inquisitor sat in the front seat, about to disappear, is the man that he wants to give a good subtle tap to. I say subtle tap, I mean he wants to literally get it.
Yeah.
Begin!
Well, I think Siegmeyer would be like, oh, I have to kill that man. Ho-hum. But wouldn't be able to, like, as I mentioned, his sword is far too big for this car. So, at least in the short term, he wouldn't be able to maneuver it right to stab the person in front of him. Because I believe he sat in the car seat behind.
For reference, how long is a Zweihander?
I don't know.
It says here they're up to 2 meters in length, and that was just the medieval ones.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll go with that. So about 2 meters long. So that's like about just over a person. That's like nearly a person and a half, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, the average width of a car is about 2 meters.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It would be very hard to maneuver to stab the person in the seat in front of you.
Absolutely, it would. It would be ridiculous. Oh, let me just wind down the window.
Which is why I think initially, to sort of start off, as his shield has a big spike on it, he'd just stick that through the back of the chair, just stab.
Oh, so just like oh shit, you're the person. Yeah, because, I mean, he gets in, fair enough, his shield, his sword is probably across him, and the back seat is a clatter of uncomfortable and inconvenient. But his shield is going to be parked, like, essentially just in his lap.
Or just on his arm.
Yeah, so he can just be like, oh, bash!
That's it. Because it'd be like, oh, that's the guy I've got to kill. He's wearing a seatbelt and he's sat in front of me. He's not going anywhere. Stab him in the back.
Convenient.
As the Hit Girl learned last week, the Inquisitor cares little for being stabbed.
Yeah, I mean, so
more cares little about being stabbed.
Gives him a hefty shunt in the runt. Probably goes straight into his back. But unfortunately, as you mentioned, he is not a human being. If he was a human being, he would probably die.
Or at least be paralysed.
But speaking of, it's going to give him a bloody nasty shock, and he's going to be very alert to the ominous presence in the back seat, which looks like an onion. So anyway, he gets in the back, a yell cries out. The taxi driver's like, "Whoa, don't get blood on my seat, bro." Probably.
And he'd be like, "It's okay, I don't bleed, I'm robotic."
I don't bleed, I'm robotic.
And the onion would be like, "Oh my, that seems to have not worked."
Oh my. Right, so Quibsel just been stabbed in the back. It's quite a shock. He's still got a shield in his back, which is unusual. A spike is probably more what he thinks it is. But anyway, he's got to try and, lurch himself off it, like push against the seat with his shoulders, thrust forward to get loose.
Actually, I don't think that Siegmeyer would leave the shield in him. He'd kind of like stab and then pull back, so he's still got the shield to use as a shield.
Okay, well, in which case, that's
More
quite an easy.
Than an impale.
Yeah. Oh, well. Yep, that makes it quite easy for the Inquisitor to get off that then. And he's going to do the only thing he can do. He's going to turn around, try and get his arm over the gap between the two headrests.
Because obviously he's not allowed to take his seatbelt off.
I mean, he is, but he wouldn't. Yeah. I mean, he would if he needed to, but, this is a matter of urgency, life or death urgency. Got to turn around and try and aim that old time ball at Captain Onions.
I think he would sort of bash his hand out the way with his shield.
All right, yeah, bash. So if old Mr. Inquisitor face. He's turning around, all right? And he's got to program his coordinate, right? Do this with me. So you can imagine if you go to point your left hand over your right shoulder, and you imagine you're now sat behind yourself.
I'd like to hope all the audience are doing this too.
Yeah. How much of your hand can you see? What kind of angle is it?
I can see sort of like my thumb, and then I don't know. I can kind of see the whole hand, but I can't see my little finger.
Well, it's more like
it's all kind of a bit of a blur. It's all very peripheral vision.
My point was, it's more of something coming towards you, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So he's got a program that. So if you now type on your wrist and do the same, what's your other hand doing? The right hand.
Yeah, he's under my left arm and over the joint on top.
My point was trying to be, hopefully,
it can't defend or anything because it's on my hand.
Well, not only that, but it's not like pointing towards. It's going across, isn't it?
Mm.
It's almost like the left hand is like coming towards, like a train coming straight towards you, and then the other one is like a train going across a level crossing.
Sure.
In front of you. So I mean, if he's going to bash his hand out of the way of his shield, and this shield has a giant spike on it, what's he quite likely to hit?
Your right hand.
Yeah, I would have thought so. His old typing hand.
Yeah.
They call it my typing hand. That's quite awkward. I'm not sure if the spike would go through. Maybe it would. It's a bit of less chance in there. Whether that happens or not. I mean, it's chance. Might not mean chance.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it had necessarily been intending to do that, just to sort of hit it out of the way.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I mean, it might have, but... And even if it has, let's be honest, the Inquisitor would just heal it anyway. It's not a big deal to him.
Yeah. It's probably not going to be the end of the world. Alright, so bashes out of the way. So that, his hand flicks back around, but then he'll just kind of rushedly lean forward and do it again, just aim and go for a quick fire on the button to try and get old Captain Onions. To get old Captain Onions.
Well, I think because his hand's been bashed out of the way, I don't think it would hit. It would sort of zap over to, I don't know, next to him in the car.
Well, I mean, he's got to be... I don't think he's going to, fire and... I don't get me wrong, I see your point. I don't think... It's not like a gun where you can just go... it's quite a slow, methodical kit. So although I said rushedly, he is still going to take the time to aim it properly. But the imperative wording there is take the time.
Maybe he'd hit Sigmar's shield then, because I think he'd still try and block it. He's still got the shield in front of him.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. Bashes the hand out of the way, either withdraws the shield or keeps it there as a blockade. As the hand comes back round, and then goes right away. That shield gets surrounded in an orange, plasma-y, funky-looking radiant bubble. And a couple of buttons later, I don't know how many buttons later, maybe 1, maybe 2, maybe 7. That shield is erased from time.
Would it be replaced with a different shield?
No, because it's not live.
Well, I think at this point then, as clumsy as it might be, Sigmar would probably have to try and use his sword that's clearly too big to be used in this car. Because it's the only weapon he's got left.
That is unfortunate. It's what happens when you bring a sword to a futuristic tech fight in a car.
Oh, yeah.
You brought a sword to a futuristic tech fight.
You know that well-known saying.
That well-known saying. All right, sweet. So you can get his sword up. Okay, right. How's he going to get this out of here? Like, what's he going to do? You can't swing that sword in that car. Not without some careful manoeuvring or smashing a window.
I'm thinking what I'd do, because as I imagined it as he got in, he's got the sword, the handle is on his lap and the blade is sort of across the back seat.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
One of the interesting things I learned about Zweihanders whilst researching for this, actually, I don't necessarily think it is ever used in the Dark Souls universe, although I could be wrong. But certainly something that they did with real Zweihanders to make them easier to use in tight spaces is the bottom part of the blade is blunt. So if you needed it to be smaller, instead of holding the handle, you could hold the bottom of the blade with one hand. So, I mean, he could do that. He could sort of take up the bottom half of the blade in his hand and then sort of maneuver the handle like above the back seat in like the gap where the back window is, and then kind of awkwardly swing the blade forward at the Inquisitor.
That is incredibly awkward.
And probably quite slow. It would probably take a bit of doing.
Like, whoop, grab that, whoop, smash the window,
Excuse me.
turn that around. Sorry, driver, I'll pay for that later.
I mean, God knows what Taxi Driver Dave is thinking.
He's probably thinking, oh, just another Monday, mate.
I like the idea, that he gets sort of bully fights in his car all the time. I also like the idea that, to my knowledge, neither of us have ever been to Australia yet. Supposed to protect us from bullies that are in Australia. Like, what the hell are they doing there?
Oh, they're on their way to England.
I mean, sure, okay.
You've got to start somewhere.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Why not Australia?
Sure. But yeah, so there you go. He'd very slowly and awkwardly swing the sword at the Inquisitor, and I guess where it's like angled upwards with the handle, he might just sort of kind of hit the Inquisitor in the right leg. It would probably be the best he could do with at least this first attempt.
All right, because he's got to hold the sword kind of like up, so he can angle it down to go in the gap between the chairs. Yeah, so without killing the driver.
He would probably get the Inquisitor in the right leg, probably not severing it, but I imagine a reasonably deep cut, because it is a big sword and he is a strong guy. So probably like a cut that would be down to the bone in a human. I'm not really sure what that is on the Inquisitor, but sort of halfway through the leg,
down to the metal bone.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Cool. So he gives that up, smashing that. Obviously, while that's happening, old Inquisitor has disappeared his old shield. He's gonna be recouping and looking around and be like, "What is that going on? What is he doing?" And just kind of like re-aiming up, gets a sword into the thigh. He's got loads
of time to do it.
Gets a sword into the thigh. He's just like, "Okay, sure, button."
Yeah, and I think really like that's just Sigmar dead, isn't it? Because I mean, he'd have been too busy faffing around trying to get his sword somewhere.
I mean, isn't that what we spend all of life doing?
Well, yes.
I mean, if you have a sword. If you don't have a sword, you probably don't do that.
No.
Do you have a sword?
I mean, I assume by this point, by sword, you mean Willie.
I did mean Willie, yeah.
Willie.
Willie. Don't touch Willie. Good advice.
So yeah, I think the Inquisitor would be like, "Oh, my leg," and then pip, and then Sigmar would be erased from time, and then he'd heal his leg, and then he'd tip Taxi Driver Dave, and then teleport away. Taxi Driver Dave with a dead onion man. Oh no, 'cause he's been erased from time. It's fine.
Yes, just a broken. In fact, there won't even be a broken window.
No, because he was erased from time.
Yeah, so he never would have existed to break the window in the first place.
Exactly.
And he'd probably be slightly further down the road.
Yeah, or he wouldn't be on the or he'd be on a different road.
Well, he was driving down the road anyway, and he picked up the onion man.
Yeah, I suppose so.
Oh, that's unfortunate for Captain Onion.
I like the idea of a From Software superhero game now, starring Captain Onion.
Starring
Captain Onion.
When we first announced these two characters, I was like, if these are both fairly slow and steady people. If it's long distance, the Captain Onions is doomed, and if it's close distance, the Inquisitor is probably in with a bad shout because he's quite slow and funky.
That's it. But he's only got a ranged weapon.
There's close distance, and then there's inside a bloody car.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that was the problem. Is that I mean, even if like Sigmar had a regular sword and not a great sword, he probably would have been all right.
Yeah, he might have had a decent go.
Because he could have just gone like, I don't know, just sort of kept stabbing, slashing.
Oh, yeah, a regular sword. He could have like spiked with the shield to pin him, and then just sword thrust straight through the head. Yeah, or cut the head off.
Well, no, it'd have been all right, but it was just the fact this sword is basically the size of the car.
Excuse me, don't mind me.
That's a bigger thing. What the hell was Taxi Driver Dave doing, letting this man's sword into his car?
He's a fee, or fair's a fair.
I suppose so.
Every fair's a fair, especially at the fair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, all's fair in love and taxis.
Yes. Where's your fare from? From the fair to the fair. Which fair? The fair. Woo!
I hate those unfair fairs where,
Yeah, you never win the prizes unless you
No.
don't deserve it.
It's much better at a fair fair where you can win the teddy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can still win them at the unfair fair. It's just unfair. Like, there'll be 7 people, and one person will, like, lose, and they'll give it to them. And you'll be like, what? I won, though. I won the prize. Yeah, this is the unfair fair, mate. And then you'll lose on purpose, and they'll give it to someone else because you tried to lose on purpose and therefore win. And it's unfair.
It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare at the unfair fair.
A nightmare at the unfair fair. Don't forget to brush your hair. Otherwise, you'll leave in a tangle.
Yes.
So
Whatever that
was.
Right. I guess it's time that I leave a clue for next episode's new challenger
Oh.
to see if they can stop the Inquisitor getting their Mish, their Mash, and their Mayhem.
I mean, he can't stop him getting his mission, his mash.
We could stop the Mayhem. He could stop him entering the Hall of Fame.
He could stop the mayhem with more mayhem.
We're starting his own Mayhem with a little bit of Mish.
With a bit of mish.
Okay, so the clue I have for the next character is that they are the good guy of a film, but the bad guy of a video game.
Thanos.
No, it's not Thanos.
Good guy of a game, you say, or good guy of a film?
He's the good guy of film and the bad guy of a game.
Don't know.
I mean, I could say a little bit more, but I feel it would give it away too much. So I kind of want to leave it at that.
And say no more. Leave it as so.
But I think, like, when you hear who it is, you'll just be like, what the hell? Why? But because I feel like that's a fair initial reaction, but I feel like the more you think about it, the more awesome an idea it actually is.
It's okay though, we don't care for good characters, we care for our favourite characters.
It is certainly a character I really like. The films he's been in are very cool.
Oh, multiple films.
Yes.
Where he's the good guy. Bad guy.
Good guy in the films, bad guy in the game.
Good guy in the game. Interesting.
Right, so if you want to get in contact with us, you can do so on the Twitter at podcastmmm. You can tell us how you think that fight would have gone. If you think that there's some way Siegmeyer could have wielded a Zweihander in the back of a taxi, then let us know, because there's no way we could figure it out. And if you want to see any characters in particular, then please let us know. We've got a couple of fan suggestions that are on our list, so hopefully they will come up at some point. Similarly, if you want to let us know any places you want the fight to take place, if you think that in a car was a stupid place for a fight to take place, then let us know a better one. Maybe you've got a really good idea and you're like, if they fought here, it'd be so cool. Please let us know. We always like it when people get involved. What was that?
On top of a fridge.
On top of a fridge?
Yeah.
I mean, you'd need really small people or a really big fridge. Oh, I see. It would be really cool because very funny. That was the noise of fridge penguin.
Fridge penguin. Is that the Batman villain?
No.
The fridge Batman. Oh. Yeah, I suppose.
You know what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age.
No, it wasn't the Ice Age. Learn your basic facts. The Ice Age. He's been watching too much Ice Age, in which dinosaurs happened after the Ice Age.
God, I completely forgot what I was saying now. We also have an email address. If you want to email us, it's at No, it's not at, because it's not on Twitter. It's podcastmmm at tinkertailorsoldiersponge.com. Anything else that you want to say?
So, I need a new rear nut for my bike.
Yeah. If you've got any spare rear nuts for bikes, please send them to Wade. I don't actually know his address, so it would be really difficult to do. Just label them to Wade and put them in a post box and see what happens.
To Wade at MMM.
Yeah.
England.
That's it. We don't even have a PO box because we don't have an office.
PO box MMM.
Yeah, PO box delicious.
Delicious. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, thank you for listening, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and tune in next time to find out who my next challenger is and find out whether or not the Inquisitor will get their Mish, their Mash, and their Mayhem and join Drax and Lilith in the Hall of Fame. Until next time, bye!
Catch you all late.